Hello. How are you doing today? Welcome back to another session here. In this video, I am going to take a sneak peek into Dynamo, which is a tool that enhances the capabilities of Revit. I am sure most of you would have already heard about it. So when we open a project in Revit, we can find the option to open Dynamo from the Manage tab towards the right corner. When we click on it, a new window will open as you can see on the screen. Here, I have opened the sample Revit structural project of Snowdon Towers. So let me just quickly turn the visual style to shaded mode, and turn the annotation categories for now. I should also turn off the links to only see the structural model of this building. Hold the Shift key and click on the last link to select all in between. Now we have only the structural model. And if I drag select everything visible in the view, I can then find out what type of element categories we have, and the count of these elements from the filter option. Now I am going to the Manage tab, and open Dynamo. Note that for each Revit session, we can only have one Dynamo window open to operate on the current project file. If we have to open Dynamo for a different project in the same Revit session, we must close Dynamo first and then reopen again. We also have the feasibility of working in Revit even if Dynamo is open. It helps us to select or work on elements while we are trying to develop our Dynamo script. As you can see, we have a couple of options available here. Right now we directly click on New option under Files to create a new script from scratch. Now we are inside a new Dynamo script, which is basically empty right now. This white space is the area to create our graph. On top left corner, we have the ability to adjust few settings depending on the use case. In Preferences, we have some of the most important settings here. Sometimes, we may need to modify the scaling, which can be done from here. Other than this, from the View menu, we can turn on or off the background preview for Dynamo as well as Revit. It will help to visualize the elements that we are working on. In the Packages menu, we can search and download a new package or publish our own. On our left, we have the Dynamo library with default nodes, and under Add-ons, we can find the packages which we have downloaded from Packages menu. The package is essentially like a set of unique nodes. For example, we can find a default node to select all the elements in our project. But if we want to select the elements of the linked file, we may need to find a package which has a node to select elements from the linked file. So right now, I am going to add a node from the default Dynamo library. Let me see. I have expanded the Revit tab, and under Selection, I have a node called Categories. It will give me a preview of what will be the input and output for this particular node when I hover my cursor on it. After I click on this node, it will appear in the Dynamo graph view. From the top right corner, I can switch between the graph and 3D background preview. Hold the right mouse button to orbit around and scroll wheel to zoom in and out. We can also use shortcut key Ctrl+B to switch between the previews. On the bottom left, we have an important option to run our script manually, automatically, or periodically. Now I am going to select a category from the drop-down. Let me find structural columns. Okay, here it is. Note that now when I have given the input as structural columns, the script ran automatically, and I can see the result I am getting after I hover towards the bottom edge of any node. Now I am going to add another node. All elements of category. For this node, the input is category. So I can connect the output wire from categories node into the input of all elements of category node. I can pin the output so that it does not disappear when I am not hovering on it. From the first node, that is, categories, we are able to select the structural columns category. Now we have got all the 74 elements of this category modeled in our project. Note the list starts from 0. That is why the last item in list is at 73. If you are familiar with programming language, then you might already know that the list sequence always starts from 0 and not 1. Now if I drag select or find the count of structural columns from schedules back in our project, doesn't matter. I am just cross-verifying the information. As we can see, we have only 74 structural columns. Makes sense, right? I am isolating all 74 columns. Now, jumping back in Dynamo. If you are wondering why we are not able to see any 3D elements in Dynamo background preview, that is because we have just selected these elements in Revit from Dynamo. I can simply right-click in the graph area and type the name of the node which I require, since I know exactly which node I am looking for. In this case, it is going to be the node element.geometry. From this node, we can get the geometry of these elements in Dynamo. Yes, here it is. Our script is running in automatic mode. Now, we need to give the input elements to this node whose geometry we want to get. In real time, we can see the change, simply by connecting the output wire of node, all elements of category in element.geometry node. Also note that the elements in Revit appear blue. It is because of the setting, Revit background preview, which I explained in the beginning. Comment down below if you don't understand any point. I am going to change the selected category from structural columns to structural framing. Now the actual power of Dynamo is realized when we are able to manipulate the script even just a little bit and change the outcome drastically. Sometimes the Dynamo script takes more time to run. It actually depends on the action we are performing. If the change is to be done to a large number of objects, I would advise you to run the script manually. As in most cases, Revit can crash, and we may lose our work. So always make sure that you save your work from time to time. Okay, now, I can see some changes appear. There is some warning we got, but the script ran anyways, which we can read from the bottom left. Run completed with warnings. For now, I am not going into error handling. Now, let me switch to 3D background preview. Great! The geometry of all the structural framing elements, which exist in our project, are visible on the screen now. This is just a small script where I have shown a glimpse on how to work with Dynamo. There are countless things which we can uncover using Dynamo tool, from manipulating data to modifying the geometry. It is really incredible. So that's it for today. Subscribe now, if you haven't already. Do check it out, and make sure to implement Dynamo in your regular workflows.